Tom, Michelle, Mandy. The Emmy nominations are coming up on Wednesday, July 17th. And this show has been heralded over the years by not just the Emmys, but other award shows as well. I'm just wondering if each of you could talk about this. What do award shows and nominations and wins mean to each of you? Mandy?
I think early on in the earlier seasons when we started to receive this sort of attention, it was a little surprising and a little bit unexpected, really, despite the fact that I knew we were doing really good work. I knew that it was creative, and what the queens were bringing was so compelling and so dynamic. I just wasn't sure how many people were paying attention to it. And for me, what it has been over the years has been an acknowledgement that people are paying attention and that people do appreciate the kind of work that we are doing, which is a platform for queer entertainers to really showcase their extraordinary talents, tell their amazing, rich stories, and entertain the world through laughter and love.
And Michelle?
For me, because it wasn't that early on,
right.
It took 9 years, 9 seasons to get our first acknowledgement. And I think that was just for Ru, correct?
So.
And then I think it was season 10 where we got our first nomination. So we were always the little engine that could. Right. And I'd been on TV before, but nothing in this capacity that could actually be nominated for an Emmy. So I didn't even think about, we should be nominated or not. Yeah. The fact that we were, even 9 or 10 years down the line, was like, oh my goodness, we were nominated. We were always a queer show made for queer people, by queer people, on a queer television network that not everybody had. So we were always doing it for the love of what we do and for the love of these incredibly talented and gifted artists. So to this day, there's not a nomination or even an uttering of us potentially being nominated, let alone winning, that doesn't go unappreciated. It's always still, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah.
That's the feeling that I still have today.
Right. Tom?
I'm the historian. I've been here since the beginning.
Yeah.
And I would say George W. Bush was president when we pitched Drag Race with RuPaul. And we would go to networks. And I said we pitched to executives who were our friends, who loved us, who loved Ru, who loved the idea. And they would lean into us and say, we love this idea, but we can't get this past our ad sales guys. And it was stunning. And so Logo, thank God, said yes. And again, we were the biggest show on the smallest network on earth.
Yeah.
And that was enough for us, And like all good queer things, because pop culture kind of is queer culture in a lot of ways. Yeah. It bubbles up, and we were allowed to bubble up. And also, because we're in Logo and they were so supportive and no one was paying that much attention, we got to do it our way, which sounds heady, but like we weren't compromising. It's a queer voice, it's a queer vision. So I've not shook that feeling of like, we can't sell this to our ad guys, or the idea that the pendulum can swing this way and come snapping back, and we all know what's happening politically. And I just think any attention, this interview, any awards we're nominated for, any awards we might be grateful enough to win, just help us know that there will most likely be, I hope there'll be, another season of Drag Race next year. And those voices and those stories keep getting told.
Absolutely. I love that, Tom. I would love to stay there just for a brief moment. I would like to pivot back. Take me back 15, 16 years with the initial pitch of the show. Did you experience any pushback from networks, in order to basically bring this beautiful story to life?
Yeah. Well, people, I think, mainstream has often underestimated drag queens.
Yeah.
And even queer culture at times will push back against drag queens, even though we call drag queens the Marines of reality television, the Marines of social. They've always been the front line of Stonewall, of gay marriage, of gay liberation. When people were dying of AIDS, it was, drag queens and a lot of other community, but drag queens were raising money and on the forefront. And, and there's obviously the trans community and the drag community have a huge history together and overlap in so many ways. So I think all of those words I just said threaten people. Yeah. And and what we were able to do with the show with RuPaul, let's not forget RuPaul, who, you're all born naked and the rest is drag. Oh, I get it. It's like, take me something that's really complicated. We're all born naked and the rest is drag. And believe it or not, we try not to be a political show. We try to celebrate the art of drag. But as RuPaul says, You know, I make a political statement every time I bat my false eyelashes, which I love because that says everything. Just by being, you know, we are. So there was pushback, there was a resistance, and this was at the height of celebriality when everybody who'd been famous in the 90s and RuPaul had been very famous sort of what swung into the reality sphere. I went to Ru, I said, I want to do something. What do you want to do? And he goes, I'll do anything but a competition elimination show, which because they were mean at that time. They were kind of like put people down. And as you know, we
And he said, call Michelle for that part.
Call Michelle. And then 3 years later, we got Michelle. No, but we've reality TV, I think, has evolved, and we've evolved with it. But we were never a mean show, and it was always about celebrating the art of drag and letting queer people have a safe platform to tell their stories.
I love that. Thank you so much, Tom. Michelle, you.
Yeah.
We're at over a decade
Yes.
at this point with you being a judge on this phenomenal award-winning project, this series, right? What does that make you feel like? Because you have also made such a huge, major impact on the queer community.
Oh,
like, what does that feel like for you?
There's so many layers to that question, and being the parent of a queer child myself, it's just, of course, that's the way the world kind of unfolded to me, because as an ally, I think I started that allyship unbeknownst to me at the age of 17, defending somebody in high school, and it just kind of led on. And for me to be part of a show that falls completely in line with my life choices and with who I am and my moral compass and everything like that, it's just kismet. It's just... there's no other way to say it. So for me to be able to be involved with this incredible TV show and the legacy that it leaves is a gift.
I love that. I love that. Mandy, season after season, episode after episode, what's the secret? What creative approach do you guys continue to take year after year to continue to sustain such success with this series?
You know, so much credit obviously goes to our great leader, RuPaul. Of course, a lot of what we come up with creatively is a reflection on things that he's done in his life and things that test the many, many skills and talents that a drag queen needs to have to be successful in this business. And from a creative aspect, you know, we work very collaboratively with him, but the creative team goes into it with so much passion and enthusiasm around sort of continuing to one-up ourselves, you know, continuing to push the envelope and try to come up with twists and turns that are unexpected, challenges that will push the queens to realize talents they didn't know they had, you know. And then, of course, the depth of talent amongst the queen population, I guess you'd say. The number of people who have been inspired by the series, who've now grown up with the series. It blows me away every season when we go into casting and you realize how many hundreds of queens there are out there across the country who are honing their skills, who are
Growing up with it.
Growing up
Right?
with it, absolutely. Who are looking up to queens that were they themselves here, you know, of course, across the almost 2 decades, I guess, of the time that we've been here. So, I mean, there's so much to it. We've got an incredibly passionate crew who come back season after season, are so excited about this. It's every day on set's a different kind of day because we aren't doing the same types of challenges every single day. You know, one episode's about fashion and design. The next episode we're doing a rusical, and then we're doing some sort of a modeling photo campaign or whatever it may be. And everyone comes into it with such enthusiasm from a place of love for the project, for the queens. I mean, that's everybody from the camera operators to the you mentioned them, to the audio team, to the art design, the art team, etc. It's a really exciting place.
Can we just
really
add
inspiring.
that we have the best time? Everybody that Mandy just mentioned, the reason they keep coming back is because we are a family here, and we have the best time every single day.
Laughter.
All the time. You're surrounded by laughter, drag, fun, beauty, everything, you name it, we have the best time. And that's a gift.
And my only little add-on is drag samples pop culture. That's part of its message. And so as pop culture changes and the world changes around it, our show changes. And so we try inspiration. And now we're probably 3 generations, the show, from the judges to the producers to the contestants. So it's this multi-generational exchange of information, ideas, cultures, looks. The queens keep us young and fresh and vital.
Yeah, every time a queen says, you know, she's 20-ish years old, I'm like, so you were 4 when the show started? What? Before we go, I'd just like to ask, what do you think is the future of RuPaul's Drag Race and maybe the future of drag in general? I do think that you all have changed drag in the world. And if you could all just speak to the future of what you see is coming next. Michelle?
I mean, as far as Ru and I go, we're not going anywhere.
And it looks better each season.
I love that.
Trying.
Absolutely.
We love what we do. There's not a moment. Ru came over the other day, and it was like, can you believe that we're going into season 17?
97.
Thank you, whatever it is. And it's like, gratitude doesn't even... But what I do want to speak to just really quickly is how it has changed over the years, which is why longevity is necessary. When I started, and I started touring with the kids, and we were all, me and 5 queens were in a minivan that was rented. We would break down on the side of the road. I am not kidding. When we first started playing these, we were in bars, and it would be gay men. Then I noticed as it went on, it would be gay men and some women, whether they were their girlfriends, the fruit flies, or they were gay women. And then from there, it would be straight hetero couples would be joining the gays. And it started growing. And then the ultimate payoff for me, is when I would do meet and greets. I did them at every single show. And it literally went from the gay men, which I couldn't live my life without, just being like, girl, you are fierce, we love this show, to parents with queer children, whether they are trans, bi, gay, whoever they are, going from, we had no relationship with our child, didn't understand our child until we found your show. And this show brought us together as a family. Now I understand where my kid is coming from. Now I understand my child. That's why this show is so important, not only for the incredible, talented, beautiful artists that come off of this platform, but for the families of the children who do not understand them. And when they see the show and hear other kids walking in their footsteps, they love them and accept them for who they are.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the future.
Yeah.
And Tom, close us out.
The legacy of really RuPaul is this show, and it's like the trunk of a tree that grows all these branches, because there are drag races around the world. There's so much potential. And, you know, a lot of people have second acts or third acts. RuPaul, through no coincidence, chose one where he's truly giving back. You know, we talk about at one point, it's like he didn't have any children, he doesn't want to be a parent, but he has, like, I don't know, at this point, 500, 600 legendary children. And that's, and the last thing I'll say is, like, it used to be like I knew every inch of Drag Race, I knew every challenge, I could tell you the elimination order, and now it's bigger than all of us.
Agreed.
It's happening in Spain, it's happening in
100%.
You know, and that's the best feeling, because it feels like, I hope, you know, because I say I'm not a scaredy cat, but I am a scaredy cat about the political times, and I'm hoping we've let this beautiful thing called the art of drag out of the box, and that you can't put it back in, and that people can appreciate it for what it is all over the world and for a long, long time.
Well, thank you all so much on behalf
you
of
so
Latasha
much.
and myself.
Yes, thank you
Thank
so
you.
Thank
much,
you both.
Tom, Mandy, Michelle. Such a pleasure speaking with all 3 of you today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.